me just tell you this, because Mike can't tell anybody no. There's a rule.
Mike's got a really big heart.
He has a big heart. It doesn't matter. Let me just, first of all, if somebody gets caught like stealing or totally screwing us over, he will hire them back. If there's a rule at Sugarfire and at High Point, you're not allowed to ask Mike for a raise because he'll just say, oh, okay. Like he can't tell you no.
You guys accepting applications?
Yeah. No, it's a rule now.
This is the Meat America Podcast, presented by Code 3 Spices, produced by Red Meat Lover. And now your host, Joey and Mike.
Welcome back to another episode of the Meat America Podcast, presented by Code 3 Spices and sponsored by Grill Grate at grillgrate.com and Arden Spirits. Today we're here at Old Herald Distillery in Collinsville. My name is Joe Lampe. You may know me better as Joey Brisket, and I am the Chief Beef Officer for redmeatlover.com and Red Meat Lover on YouTube. I'm here today with the Sultan of Spice, the maestro of meat, my podna, Mike Radosevich.
What's up, JoJo?
What's happening? He is a co-owner of Code 3 Spices and Code 3 BBQSupply.com. And Mike, I will let you introduce our guest today.
Yeah, real quick. So, did you have a good weekend?
Oh, always.
You guys have been traveling a lot with the cooking show. You want to tell everybody where you guys have been here lately?
Oh, that's right. Yes, we just got back from a busy week. We were in Chicago 2 weeks ago. We were up there filming the podcast, meeting with Sweet Baby Ray, Kevin Coleman of Weber Grills. So Chicago was great. We filmed at a very nice steakhouse up there called Steak 48. It was truly phenomenal, decadent meal. They served up some rib cap, which was absolutely a tremendous cut of meat. From there, we went on to, I say Louisville, you say Louisville, but we had a great experience there with a place called Agave and Rye, and we did some braised short rib. Then over to Nashville, where we met with Honey Fire Barbecue, and E3 Chop House. That place was amazing.
That looked like a good time. I wish I could have made it to that one.
Yeah, it was incredible decor and amazing food. And then we wrapped up our trip with Chef Sarah Bradley in Paducah, Kentucky. She was a former Top Chef contestant and a really talented chef.
Well, let's talk about talented chefs. So today we have the lovely Christina Fitzgerald, co-founder of High Point. She's been on a lot of cooking shows. We can probably start off with that. Christina, why don't we have you tell everybody at home listening and watching a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, by the way. It's really
Absolutely.
fun.
Happy to have you here.
So cooking for me, obviously I went to culinary school, but I knew that I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do in food. I wanted to be in the restaurant, but I wanted to do I grew up watching Ina Garten and, Julia Child and stuff. I didn't even watch cartoons.
Well, I even read somewhere you were a big influencer was Paula Deen.
Yeah. Well, no, it's well, those three are the main ones.
Okay.
And then there's one other one, but anyway, I used to watch those. My grandma used to think something was wrong with me because I didn't want to watch cartoons. I watched cooking shows. And so after I decided to go to culinary school, I thought, it'd be really awesome to have my own cooking show. But how was I going to go about that? So my brother is a really talented videographer. He used to work mostly with models and stuff though. And I got home from school one day and he's setting up a tripod and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, just go with it. So I just did. I mean, towards the end, I think we went through a bottle and a half of wine. And so towards the end, it was a little crazy, but he put it on YouTube. And a few hours later, we got this weird phone call from someone in France. And it was my now manager, who represents, he's with 212 Management, his name's Scott Feldman. They represent all of the celebrity chefs. He was out there for Fashion Week or something. He invited my brother and myself up to New York and basically signed me on the spot. So, about, I think it's a month later, about a month later, he said, you're going to be on Food Network Star, and it was season 11. Don't go watch it. So the whole point there is they want to know what your culinary identity is. And I was like, I don't know. I just got out of culinary school. I want to cook everything. And I didn't know what my specialty was going to be yet. So because of that, and they're really, really like drive that, like you have to be like the Italian chef or the Thai chef or whatever, or the semi homemade kind of thing, tailgating or whatever it is. And I didn't have any. I was just like, I just want to cook, I didn't know. So after that, I was going to go do a show for Travel Channel, which was going to be awesome. And, when I was at Food Network and everybody's like, oh, you're from the Midwest. You do barbecue, right? And I'm like, no. So when I got back and I had this like little lag time between the next show, I was like, you know what? I need to freaking learn barbecue. So I talked to a bunch of my chef buddies and they're like, you should check out this place. There's always Pappy's, which is like, like a staple in St. Louis. So you should really check out this place that's like up and coming called Sugarfire. And they had 2 locations. So I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. Is Mike in here? Because this is a really embarrassing story.
No,
he's
perfect. So go ahead. I think he went down the
Okay.
street. Yeah.
So anyway, so I get his number or whatever. I text him or call him or something. I'm like, hey, can I can't work a full schedule. I just want to come in and like, stage basically. And so I go in and I walk in and I see this other guy which was his pitmaster at the time. And I thought that was Mike because I ran into him at the airport at like 5 a.m, months and months before I was on my way to a Food Network event. And he bought me a shot of whiskey at like 5 a.m. So, okay. So I'm assuming, oh, this is the guy. This is the Sugarfire guy, Mike. So there's this other guy that walks up and is just staring at me. And I'm like, who is this creeper? And what is he, it was the Mike that I was there to. So anyway, the rest is kind of history. And that's how I fell in love with barbecue. I started doing, he was really big into doing the competitions, Memphis in May, the Royal. And that's how I've always known that I had a love for competition and that adrenaline rush, but I didn't know, barbecue competition is a whole other world.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I really, fell in love with that and started doing that. I did World Foods. I started doing some SCA, and let's see, Memphis, Hogs for the Cause, like all these different ones I started doing. And that's how I really just like fell head over heels in love with barbecue. There's just no going back for me at this point.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Joe.
before we go forward on that story, I just kind of want to step back to your experiences of, on the show, Food Network star.
It was insane.
Well, and you read enough message boards. Guy Fieri gets a ton of hate out there. I think it's because of the flair. I personally think he has a great job.
He's a great guy too. He's really
but
cool.
It's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. So can you share with our audience, something that they may not know about what it takes to be in front of the camera as a Food Network star?
Well, I can't speak. I've been on. So here's that show in particular is one of their highest like produced. I don't want to say not overproduced, but it's a highly produced show. I've been on other shows that are totally not like that. But let me just tell you, you get there and they go through your bag. You cannot have your phone. They put you in a hotel room and they take the entire floor. You have someone monitoring the halls. They put a little piece of tape over the keyhole so you can't look out. They take your cord from your phone, the cord from your TV, the cord from your radio. You are not allowed to have any access to anything. You can have one phone call
wild.
that is monitored every Sunday to call your family back home. It's insane.
Mind blowing.
You cannot, when you're doing, so then you get on there and you're like nervous as hell, right? Because there's at least 10 cameras on you and each and every other there's the lights, the cameras, and everything is just insane. And it's not like having a normal conversation like you and I go back and forth. They'll say, Bobby Flay was one of the things. Bobby say this. So Bobby will sit there and he goes, okay. What's his name? Okay, so John, how do you no, let me go again. Okay, and then he says that and they're like, okay, quiet on the set. Checking the lights, checking the sound, and then you get to answer. So it's like one little snippet of conversation could have taken 2 hours to film.
It's not fluid conversation whatsoever.
No. And, it was a great experience. I would not go back. I met some amazing people there, and just in the casting and stuff alone, the casting people I've remained friends with, and they've helped me with other opportunities. So it was, and it also was like a very big way to break any nervousness that you have, because now I am not nervous of anything. I can get in front of thousands of people and I don't even get nervous. That was like just like sink or swim,
Sure.
like throwing you into
Do or die.
the wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, do or die. But it was really awesome. The other thing too, the one thing that really irked me is they have you do like these little, what are they called? I don't know what they're called. Like the interview room. So, you get done cooking and whatever happened and you're like full of you cannot talk. They say you're on hard ice, which means we're not actors. So they want raw emotion when we hash everything out. So you could have just, done something amazing or freaking terrible, and you can't talk about it for hours. You just have to sit there and rethink it in your head. You can't talk. But the one thing that drove me nuts was they do your interview room, and you have to go back, and they'll be like, when you were doing this, what was on your mind? Everything is just gone through with a fine-tooth comb. And when I'm talking long days, they had wheels up at 4:30 in the morning. Girl, don't get up that early. So, I mean, for barbecue maybe, but that's like to get up, check the smoker, go back to bed.
Well, it's got to be mentally exhausting, though. I mean,
it is.
Me and Joe, and by the way, big shout out to T-Bo Jaron Stone, who's here today.
T-Bo.
Wizard, who's off camera. Love you, Wizard. We usually film, every day that we film, it's usually 3. That's sort of exhausting. I mean, when I go home tonight, it's going to be nice to sit down on my recliner.
It's some long, long days, at least 12 hours plus. And there's only like one day off, and that could, and if they have to refilm stuff, you could lose that day off too. But anyway, so you go into this interview room and you're walking through everything, and I decided, like, I'm not going to be that chick that talks bad about people because they want that juicy, like,
they do
talk bad about this girl. I was like, nah, not going to do it. But at the end, they have you do voice pickups. They'll say like delicious, or now look in the camera and say, oh my gosh, or whatever, and you do all this stuff. And the very first episode, there was this guy, and he was a complete ass clown. Let's just put it out there. He was. But I wasn't going to say that and then be like the bad person. But they edited and snipped together and put together something I said, and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say that. My grandma's looking at me like,
disappointment.
You're not supposed to talk about people. I didn't say that. But it was incredible. Now I've done other shows that are way less strict and whatever than that, and it was awesome. I actually had a show coming up that I was so very excited about the day before we went on quarantine. So that has been postponed, but it was a barbecue show. And that's all I'll say about that. Yeah. But I'm hoping that it's still going to go on. But that is like, that's a show that I've always wanted to do.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Kind of going back to your experience, and you said you're comfortable now. Jerry Seinfeld actually has a joke about public speaking. He goes, a public speaking is people's number 1 fear. Number 2 is death. So if you're at a funeral, most people would prefer to be in the casket than giving the eulogy. I've spent a lot of time, rewatching videos that we've shot for our YouTube channel, and I've learned a lot about myself along the way. Can you share with us, what you learned about yourself from being on camera and how you grew to be more comfortable speaking in front of a crowd?
Explore the methods and recipes for cooking meat in restaurants across America as we showcase experts on location in their restaurant kitchens to educate, inspire, and entertain. Tune into our travel cooking show, Meet America, only on YouTube and redmeatlover.com.
Couple things. So one, you're always going to hate your voice when you hear it. Just get over it. You're going to hear your voice like, damn, is that what I really sound like? And then, the other things, practice makes perfect, and don't sound scripted or rehearsed. I tried that. I was like, okay, for everything, I know exactly what I'm going to say and what I'm going to do. And it just came off as scripted. And I tried to be what I thought people wanted to see in me. I tried to be, they didn't want that. They wanted like the grimy, potty mouth Christina, the funny, quirky, weird Christina. That's what the producers like even sat me down. They're like, why are you trying to be like Susie Homemaker? Like, that's not you. Where's the girl that like had like, her tattoos out and racerback shirts with skulls on them? Like, where's that chick? And I was like, oh, okay. So just be genuinely and unapologetically yourself, and just try to be as genuine as you can. People can tell when you're scripting something when you're faking it.
I agree with that.
They can. And nobody wants to watch that. They want to watch how you really react to stuff. We live in the era of reality television.
No, I get that. I mean, you watch some of these reality TV shows, you can tell when it's scripted or not. I usually blast past those whenever I'm channel surfing or whatnot. But, okay, so you're a trained chef, you had all this stuff going on, you get into barbecue. Me and Chris have known you for quite some time now.
Probably like 6
Yeah, 6 or
years,
7
something like
years,
that.
I think.
But really the last couple of years before, you're probably like, all right, who's this chick? She's probably not, she's probably she's probably not gonna stick around.
No, but no, this is a compliment, Christina. So there's a lot of people, I live on Instagram every day. I still manage all of our accounts and whatnot. There's a lot of people out there that what I like about you is you don't fake it. You're yourself, right? Like we were just talking. There's a lot of people out there that you see in our industry that really haven't achieved much success yet.
But they're a professional.
But they're a pro,
a teacher.
right.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say, like, here's the one thing I love about barbecue is there's so many different ways to do things. I have learned, and also, like, if I don't know how to do something, I'll tell you. And that's one of the ways that I feel like I've moved forward so quickly in this industry is, one, the culture of barbecue. There are no in barbecue except for Mike sometimes, but
Mike Johnson, that is. Not Mike
everybody Mike Johnson, not this Mike. But everybody, if you go to them, and we're talking about the godfathers of barbecue here, the world champions, they are so freaking nice. They're family. I sometimes prefer my barbecue family over my actual family.
And the amount of humility, they're infectious people.
They will teach you. They will help you. And then you can find out this person who's been doing it for so long, or this person has won so many, awards, and then this person, and then guess what? You can take their 2 methods, or this is what I did, and say, okay, I like this about this, and I like this about this, and I made it my own. So it's just like all about, I can never learn everything. There's always I learn something new about barbecue every damn day.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it teaches you a lot about life too. Like I'm not a very patient person, to be honest with you. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't compete is I simply don't have the patience. Chris has patience, thankfully.
I turn into a raging whenever I'm competing, only when it's down to the wire.
Right.
I'm a nice person.
But people don't realize how stressful that is either.
That is game time, baby.
I mean, seriously,
if you're not here
people
in it to
listening
win it,
or watching
if you're getting
at home,
in my way, get the F out of my tent.
They have no
and then
idea what
I'll
it
be like,
entails.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've heard that from other pitmasters. It's kind of going back to that genuineness, the sharing, the humility that all exists until turn-in time. And that's what we've heard from some other people as well. And then everyone is a little bit guarded, and then kind of after it.
During turn-in time, if you are not critical to that part, get out of my tent.
Right.
And don't even be like talking loud enough and distract. Don't talk to me. Get out of my way. Like this is what we're here for, man. It is the culture. It's the excitement of the festival and seeing your friends and your family. But I didn't come here to embarrass myself. I came here to freaking win.
Well, one, it's your last name or it's your company. And the amount of attention to detail.
And not only that, it's not cheap to show up and be doing all that. You're taking a weekend away from your work or away from your family, and just the equipment, if you bring other people, the tent itself, and everything. I mean, it adds up, man.
No, I'm with you. But you talk about some of the people like, the Orisons, or one of my favorites in the industry is Mike Mills. You talk about godfathers,
I was referring to him as one.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some tremendous people in our industry that are just loving and giving. And, you saw firsthand when we saw Dave Raymond up in Chicago. I don't think he's a regular guy. I think he's, one of those special people that just gives his heart to everybody, not only in our industry, but outside of our industry.
Well, he gave his kind of heart, not only his heart, to all of our listeners. When I asked him what was, some of the biggest challenges he's faced as a business owner to help our audience, and he gave his personal email address out on the podcast. And I think
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and he just basically said, whatever challenges you're dealing with in your life, feel free to reach out to me. And I was just really blown away by that.
That's awesome.
So,
I don't think I'm going to give my email address, but if you want to DM me.
So let's talk about High Point and how you and Mike came up with that. To be honest with you, I don't know the whole story, how you guys co-founded that.
I think so. I was there for the conception of High Point, but really mostly for the growth of Sugarfire, because when I met him, they had 2 locations, and for a while, we got pregnant right away. And then as soon as I had the baby, I went in and worked as, what was my title, director of franchise operations. And so that was kind of what Mike and I did. It was like a full-time job, traveling pretty much around the country, looking for spots and weeding out appropriate franchisees and things like that. So that was a big part of what, was. But yeah, I was there for High Point. Conceptually, like the idea of it is all Mike's, 100%, not even any of the other investors. I helped with some of the like design with just like random stuff, like our burger picture. Like I did a lot of food design for the photographer and things like that. And, it was really funny. The first one we opened, we were like, we opened in the middle of a freaking snowstorm. It was freezing. Nobody else was there. Our food truck didn't come in. We had our baby who was probably about 4 months old. We had him, there was no heat in there. So we had him wrapped up like a snowman in a walker. He's walking around. And Mike and I are in there like, freezing our off trying to prep for the next day. And we both worked the line for the first week until we could just not even stand anymore. And we didn't know what the response was going to be. And it was just incredible. I think that there's like a bit of a cult following for Sugarfire.
There's no doubt about it.
And so that helped.
Well, I personally think that you two are hands down the most creative in the industry right now. I think you guys are paving the way and inspiring a lot of people as well. These guys are are you done finishing season 2?
We're done with season 1. We filmed 13 episodes at restaurants and a bunch. Some of them I mentioned, some of them I didn't. But yes, we've captured 13 episodes.
Well, the thing is, we talked about it, I think, on the last episode that Mike was on. Just the sides that you guys come up with and create and everything else. But then you talk about High Point, and you guys were the first to do it.
So one of the things that I think is a little different, and I guess the only other person that off the top of my head I can think of that's like this is Tuffy Stone. But both of us came from fine dining, French influenced culinary background. So we didn't start off as barbecue. So a lot of chefs, fine dining is great. When we fell in love with food, to be fully honest with you, that was what we thought. That was life. We were the chefy chef. But it's hard. There's the craziest hours. You get screamed at all day in a hot as balls kitchen, and you get very little in return for many, many years. So what his idea was to find these chefs that were just like burnt out and give them a new opportunity. Say, hey, here, come do freaking barbecue. How can you not be happy doing barbecue? And, it's better hours. They get paid very, very well, and they get to use that creativity in the sides. There's our staples. We got our coleslaw, we got our potato salad, we got our beans, but they get funky with it. And that's where they do. And that's where they get their creativity outlet. And so that's really cool. So we have some incredibly talented chefs working at our restaurant. So that's something that's different, I think.
And not only that, I've met a ton of your franchisees, and they're all good people.
Yeah,
so you guys are doing something right, either if it's a screening process or like you said.
Well, that was a screening process. Let me just tell you this, because Mike can't tell anybody no. There's a rule.
Mike's got a really big heart.
He has a big heart. It doesn't matter. Let me just, first of all, if somebody gets caught like stealing or totally screwing us over, he will hire them back. If there's a rule at Sugarfire and at High Point, you're not allowed to ask Mike for a raise, because he'll just say, okay. He can't tell you no.
You guys accepting applications?
Yeah. No, it's a rule now. And so what was the beginning of this?
Well, as far as the size and the creativeness and...
Yeah. So anyway, he's distracting me walking in here.
That's all right.
Sit down, Michael. Talking about you.
So we'll jig-jag here a little bit. So is it Shiloh that you guys are coming up with another High Point? Somewhere over here, right?
Yeah, he knows all the places a little. O'Fallon,
Illinois?
Yeah.
O'Fallon, Illinois, High Point. When's that supposed to be happening, Mike?
It's under construction, maybe 4 months.
Okay, 4 months. So when that happens, we'll make sure to plug that.
Well, congratulations on that. I kind of want to go back and learn a little bit more about your experience. You came out of culinary school. You're moving into the world of barbecue. Now, there's not a lot of women in the world of barbecue, generally speaking. So
no, there's not.
So there may be some women at home who are listening to this who are thinking about whether it's the world of barbecue or just making a name for themselves in the industry, period. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience being a female in a mostly male-dominated industry, maybe some of the challenges, surprises you experienced, and a little bit more about that journey?
Yeah. Well, so first things first about me, I am the oldest and only girl out of 6 boys. So being in a male dominated industry is kind of not, it's like, it's like, oh, ball and fart jokes. So I'm used to it. But yeah, so that's for me, but I can see how it would be really difficult. There's very few of us, it's not only the chef world used to be just male dominant, but barbecue, you think of barbecue, you think, oh, that's for men.
Sure.
It ain't for just men.
Right.
No. So for any woman out there that is thinking that they want to get interested in it, it's an art form. It really, truly is. There's so much, it's not just throwing meat on a grill. I mean, there's science in it. It's really a labor of love, but it's really awesome. And there's so many things that you can do. It's really exciting to me. Like I always say, like, most girls have like a shoe collection problem or purses and stuff. I collect grills. I have a grill problem. I don't even own a purse. But so for me, it might be a little different just because I'm used to that. But, I would say that all the women that have made it in this industry are just incredible.
Let's touch on a couple of them. I mean, you got Brooke Orson.
Yeah.
You got Diva, Danielle.
Leslie with U-Bonds. The Diva for sure. Yeah, Jess Pryles. You guys have her
she's
coming
gonna be on
up,
at
right?
3.
Yeah, so Megan Day, she just kind of broke into. That girl was supposed to be in a competition. Again, I've competed against her once, but I was supposed to be in a competition with her coming up. And I knew some of the people in the lineup, and I was like, the girl wins everything.
Yeah.
I did kick her butt the other day, though. We're both ambassadors for Royal Oak Charcoal, and we did a cook-off thing, and I gave her a little bit of a whooping.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but that was just online. If we had to do like a heads-up cooking competition, these girls can really cook. I mean, they're forces to be reckoned with.
And here's the other thing, too. So I'm a big fan of Danielle Bennett. I love her. I think she's an amazing person.
I didn't list all of them. There's still some
there's
more
a lot of them out there.
Those are just the closest ones to me, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I learn more from watching the women pitmasters than I do the men because they pay more attention to detail.
That is true.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just paying more attention to them.
No,
I don't know.
Seriously. I mean, it's impressive when you really think about it. I follow all the stuff you do. You're cooking in your backyard every day.
Yeah.
Whether you're on your GMG or Weber or whatever it is, and like you said earlier, you just pick bits and pieces from each person out there doing whatever and be like, oh, I sort of like that. I'm going to try that on my next cook or whatever it is.
Yeah. Lots and lots of trial and error in getting to where, I mean, it's not, I was just thinking the other day, like, how many hogs did we cook in preparation leading up to Memphis in May? There's just trying, you just got to get in there and try everything. Cause you'll hear everybody has a way of doing it, a different temperature to cook it till, a different way to keep the skin rubbed. Is it wet? Is it dry? Do you wrap? Do you not wrap? So the only way you can figure that out is by trying it and doing it yourself. And it's fun. It's interesting, and what's the worst? The worst part is that you get to eat delicious meat at the end of it. Ooh, it's fun. It's not for everybody, I guess, but for me, it's life.
Well, and we have a barbecue supply. You've been to our place.
Yeah, I love that place.
Thank you. And, it's we're seeing a massive increase in female customers.
Yeah,
massive increase. And I think it's because of people like you and all the ladies.
Are you also, I'm curious, because I went to go drop off some sauce to our buddy in Kansas City the other day, and he has a barbecue store similar to yours. And he said that just...
You're talking about Rich?
Yeah.
Let's give him a plug real quick.
Yeah,
Fergalicious Barbecue, Kansas City Grilling Company.
Yeah. He gave me this shirt. I'm loving it.
Meat Mob.
Meat Mob.
Nice.
I mean, that's cool. So he said that you guys, they've been crazy during the pandemic because everybody's home. Everyone's trying to barbecue. It's during the summer. Are you guys getting a lot more?
Me and Chris are staying busy.
Keep it on the shelves.
We're staying busy. We're very blessed throughout this whole thing.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
But we also knew going into before the pandemic hit, we already had a lot of things structured in place to expect some growth. And then the day of the toilet paper debacle, I walked in the next day and Chris was like, well, we sort of in a pinch right now. We need some more inventory. And I just couldn't believe it. And it's been a lot of product going out every week. So
yeah,
that's
when
great.
We had Meathead Goldwyn on, proprietor of AmazingRibs.com, he said his views are up over 30%.
Yeah, views are insane too. I'm an ambassador also. You kind of touched on it with Green Mountain Grills. And I just love working with that company. They're just really cool people and just great people. They really care. And I had this idea because I'm sitting at home, right? I'm following all the rules and I'm like, I'm bored as so what could I do and I started seeing like Simon, what's his name? the celebrity chef, he did like something from his kitchen. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do like a giveaway. So I did like this thing, like 12 days of quarantine. And I convinced GMG, which I didn't convince them, they were happy to do it, to give away some free grills and stuff. And I didn't think, because most of my views were, moderate. But holy crap, they're just getting so many. Like, there's a lot of people right now that I think are going to be just home cooks that are going to be more interested in learning at home, because they've been at home. A lot of them purchased a grill and they realize how awesome it is. It's so much better cooking your own, smoking your own meat.
Well, I was just talking to my buddy John McPhee, the sheriff of Baghdad, the other day. He was he's got an interesting story. We're going to have him on, and we'll talk about him more down the road. But he's lived a pretty crazy life, and when he got into barbecue, it was the same reason I did. It allowed me to just relax.
Yeah.
And using that time to
I think
take it all in.
The barbecue itself, like I said, the culture is just incredible, but also what it's allowed me to do in my life. Some places I've been able to go. We do a lot of travel in festivals, competitions across
How many
the
have you
globe.
guys been to?
I couldn't even count.
Every
I can
place
tell
I've ever been, you guys are there.
Yeah. We've gone to Churrascada and Brazil, which is like the Willy Wonka world of barbecue festival. It's freaking insane. And this is, okay, so Mike's a bigger deal in barbecue in America. Not in other countries.
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
You steal the show?
I'm the bigger deal. Yeah. He hates it.
So tell us about, I know that you've been to a lot of places, a lot of different cities, a lot of different events. Can you share with us, our audience, just an interesting story or experience? I know meat stock in Australia. I mean, that's just one that comes to mind.
We do Big Grill Festival in Ireland. We do Churrascada in Brazil. We do meat stock, Yaks used to be. We did meat stock in Auckland, New Zealand, and in Australia 3 times. So we've done something in Paris. We've gone, just pretty much everywhere. So let me think, a crazy story. There's so many of them.
I can only imagine. It's probably every time you guys go somewhere.
Yeah. Geez. Okay. This is just the first thing that popped into my head. But this was actually at the Royal, I think. Crazy stories out. Some of them are inappropriate.
Sure. We like those.
Better. Yeah, great.
Can I tell them about your squeezy? What? Your squeezy? Yeah. Okay. I didn't know this. Okay. So when I met Mike, it's legal now, whatever. He used to smoke a lot of weed, and he stopped smoking it, but he doesn't want to seem like not like cool or like man next to whatever. He doesn't smoke it. He hasn't smoked it in a long time. So we go. You're not. I'm telling the story. Okay. So we go. We're in meat.
We got
stock.
a family counselor coming in next if you want to talk to him.
We go to meat stock in Auckland, and they're like, I told him, because like it was early in the morning. We were both doing something separate. We had to do a talk, mic'd up in front of, a couple thousand people. I was doing whole hog and he was doing ribs in the like VIP section area, whatever. And so I'm like, do not smoke weed. Don't do it. Because all these guys, they get there in the morning and that's just kind of what they do. And, it's like 3 a.m. or whatever, and they're loading it up or they're cleaning, whatever. And I'm like, don't do it, because you're going to be an idiot. You're not going to be, he can't function. So one of the guys came up and was like, hey, Mike, you want to do a squeezy? And he's like, it doesn't sound very threatening, does it? Like a squeeze? Oh,
squeezy, yeah.
It's just a squeezy. So he comes back to the room. It hit him. He said he felt like he was terrified. He was stuck in cartoon land. Our pit guy that we took with us, he said he turned into half a llama, half a kangaroo, and he wouldn't talk to anyone. So he goes back to the hotel and he just walks in and he goes, mm-mm, mm-mm, and just lays down. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go back up there and everybody's like, is it Mike okay? Like, is Mike okay? Oh, no, I have a better story for you.
Bring it.
I guarantee you Mike didn't tell you this. Man, he's going to be so mad.
I got to know what a squeezy is.
Oh,
I don't think we got
sorry.
that.
Everybody's going to be Googling what's
squeezy.
Do not let me forget about the Churrascada story.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Churrascada. Got it.
So he's got this squeezy thing. I guess I wasn't there, but it's something like, I guess it's the science of a water bong, a gravity bong. And so it's like they filled up this soda thing with smoke, and then when he put it on his mouth, they squeezed it really, and it shot it down.
I
in
got
his
it
lungs.
now.
He
Makes
couldn't
sense.
talk for like 2 days. He couldn't talk for like 2 days. So Anyway, no, this one's really good. He gets mad about this one. So I will say this. We went to Churrascada and we had to borrow someone's
And that's a city in
Brazil.
Brazil. Got it.
It was our first year, and we were the only Americans there. And we had this really big smoker that we borrowed from a friend of ours there, who's incredible. And the guy spoke very little English, but I heard that he was like, now be careful because the firebox is on the smoker's on a tilt. So any grease in there, it's going to lead right into the firebox. So keep your fire away from the closest spot, whatever. Well, Mike didn't hear that part. So he did go. He was helping prep all the stuff while I was getting a little extra sleep. So I have to give him that credit. But yeah, he completely caught the smoker on fire. And I think the flames were like 2 stories high. But in his defense, he saved all but like 2 briskets.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Good job, Mike.
So we were just like, it was just like, there's the Americans. Yay.
Messing everything up.
Yeah. No, we redeemed ourselves, man. We had like the longest line out of
That's cool.
everybody else. Yeah. Well, I did. Mike didn't. They like the women chef over there.
I mean, what's your takeaway from going to all these different places and really diving in and seeing what barbecue's like in all these other places?
Well, that is the one thing that I absolutely love about it. It's culturally different. We went to Argentina. The U.S. Embassy took us there to teach a class on American pork. And we get over there. Did he tell you this story?
No.
Okay. So he set it all up. We went over there with the U.S. Embassy. We're supposed to teach a class on American pork. And we asked them, we need a smoker. Obviously, we're coming from Argentina. We're not bringing a smoker with us. They didn't know. In Argentina, they're all about grilled meat, and they're taught to keep the meat away from the smoke.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's they have the most when you order a steak at like a place there, they bring it out and they cut it with a spoon right in front of you.
Wow.
That's just what they do, and it's incredible. But no smoke there, right? So this is like introducing something new. So they sent a picture of this smoker that they got. And it's a picture, so you can't really tell, how big it is. Mike, do you have the picture? He just texted it to you. So we get there. It's like a little bullet. It's this big, and we're supposed to feed 400 people. You couldn't even fit a whole chicken in there, like this big. So we go and look, and there's only one person in Argentina that has an actual smoker. This is it. Look at this.
Oh my
thing.
God.
It's that big. And they had no idea. They don't know what a smoker is. They didn't. And this was supposed to feed 400 people. It's just insane. So that was really funny. We're like, oh moment. What are we going to do? So we found the only person there that had a smoker. And of course, he's American. And he was able to help us out, and he was a complete psycho, by the way. But no, that was our Argentina. There's so many other stories. Now that I said one, I'm like, oh, there's that one.
Where's the favorite place that you guys have gone? Where's your favorite place to
For
go?
barbecue or just in general?
In general. I mean, you guys travel so much.
Yeah. For beach, for mountains, for city, which one?
Anything.
Because they're all. I have
favorite.
a different for. Okay. So we just went to Bora Bora in Tahiti, which is awesome. But to be honest with you, my one place that I absolutely love is Exuma. I love Exuma for beach. Just love it. Rio is incredible. There's not a lot of places that we haven't been.
Well, I saw you guys swimming with the pigs. What was it, last year?
Oh yeah, that was in Exuma. That place, that's awesome. That was where they were supposed to have that fire festival.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It did not work out, unfortunately. But Exuma is still a very great place. So if you had tickets to go and you weren't able to go because of a bunch of dip, I recommend you still try going.
There you go.
It's incredible.
So you've talked, a lot about Mike and, your partnership together. That's something that we've explored on other podcasts, how really success is really no longer the domain of one individual. It's more and more often happening in teams. And so with you guys being a team and kind of both covering the grill, it must make I'm imagining it must make for some pretty interesting family dinners. Who gets the grill? Who does the size? Is there any kind of jockeying back and forth?
No, we both do. So we have 5 kids between the two of us. We have one together. I had one prior, and he had 3 from his first marriage. 2 of them, well, they're kind of back home now because of the pandemic, but they went off to college. But when the kids were all home, that was like my favorite time, was cooking. And he and I were cooking together. There's like Bob Marley in the background. The kids are riding skateboards through the house, doing their homework. And that was just like my happy time. But we cook together. We cook very well together for competition as a team. You know how you cook with somebody and you don't have to talk anymore because you just know, like, you hand them this and you know what you want. Like, we're in sync kind of that way. But he does most for the business kind of stuff. He's, more into that. When we do travel and competitions, I think we piggyback off each other very well. And I just remembered something else. This is making me laugh. But I would say where I've tremendously been helped with the opportunities and stuff from Mike, where I think I helped him was, he's great at it now, but we used to, on camera, he would just get kind of nervous or not smile as much. But then when we started doing stuff together, I would pick at him and, like the banter going back and forth, I think made him more comfortable with that. So all this stuff just kind of gets, and now he can do it in his sleep, Yeah. So, no, I just thought of this. Where were we? Perth, Australia. And Australians are awesome, by the way.
They are.
They love barbecue.
They do.
Dude,
They do.
They love their barbecue, and they are serious about it. We were there when it was on the rise, and I had no clue. I mean, these guys are like, Americans sometimes are not as not critical, that's not the word, scientific about it the way that some of these guys are. Australians are great people. So anyway, and they're very polite. So we're doing, I think it was yaks, and we're doing like a demo. Oh, we also did Black Smoke in Rotterdam, which is in Amsterdam. That was a festival we did too. But anyway, so we're there and we're doing this thing. And this was back before I stopped drinking whiskey.
Gotcha.
When just anything would fly out of my mouth. And so we're sitting there doing this thing, and Mike's talking about, I think we were doing ribs or brisket, I'm not sure. And I told him, I did the intro, like, hi, I'm Christina, I'm from St. Louis, blah, blah, blah. This is Mike, we have 5 kids, all this other stuff. And so he's doing most of the talking for the brisket now, and I'm just sitting here, and this thing just flew out of my mouth, and it was dead silent for a minute. He's talking about, someone asked him a question, do you wrap your brisket? And he goes, I don't wrap anything really. And I said, we got 5 kids. And it was dead silent for a minute. And then it was just like an uproar of laughter.
Then they realized you're American.
Yeah, because they were just like, they're so polite there. But then they were just like, they were rolling. I was like, great, we're never being caught, brought back here. And the guy came over and he was like, they loved it.
Well, dude, I tell
but they're
you
not
what,
used to those kind of jokes.
No, but you talk about Australia. I mean, they're hot and heavy in the barbecue culture right now. You got some really good podcasts coming out of Australia. Talk about meat stock and all these other things. Jess is a transplant, in Texas from Australia. They're real hot and heavy right now in the barbecue scene.
They are very serious about it over there. The meat over there is like, it's a learning curve everywhere. Not only do they have different cuts all around the world, but the meat is so much different. Everything is so much leaner and smaller in Australia. When we did a competition there first, we had to go and we get there a few days early to get all of our equipment. You're not traveling with cutting boards and knives. It's a big deal, to get over there and do it. And find a butcher that understands the cut that we need. And we get, these like brisket, and they're like, even in Brazil, the briskets are like this big. I mean, they're tiny.
Little guys.
And they have like no fat in them. But they do have, but they're incredible. They're great. The lamb over there is
off the charts.
Yeah. But it's just totally different. So it's going over there and seeing how they do stuff, and it's a lot different than what we do.
So with these travels, have you come across any wild proteins that you've been tasked with grilling up?
Yeah, we cooked, I don't know if anybody ate it. We cooked, I'm sad to say this, but kangaroo. It's in the grocery store. It's like ground beef, turkey, kangaroo, whatever. It's how it's just laid out. It looked a little funky to me. I don't know, maybe mentally I couldn't get I'm a chef, I'll try everything once, but I can't eat no. I just can't. I'm not going to eat a kangaroo. There's so many other delicious things in the world. I'm not missing.
Did you even try it though? Did you even?
Hell
give it a
no.
taste?
No.
Because as a chef, you're supposed to kind of taste your food as you eat. But
I don't think kangaroo, not knowing how to properly cook kangaroo, is going to affect me in my culinary career. Or no, thank you.
Well, you talked also about your travels and being in Argentina and this sort of myth about keeping the smoke away from the food. Are there any other common myths that you've run into here in the States or internationally that you just go, okay, that's just with your experience, just flatly false.
Yeah, the big thing with like Argentina, like I said, was no smoke. They thought the smoke was bad, which is like, well, you shouldn't have brought us then because that's what we do. The coolest festival that I've ever been to is Churrascada, and they have people from all over the world come. Like, we're the only people representing America. They have them from all over the world. They have people from the Amazon that come and like take this like mud, like clay things, and like cook and make a pot and they put the banana leaves over this, they do tons of live fire, which is something that I really, really have kind of become obsessed with. We saw this really awesome thing, and Mike came back and said, what we should do is meet with a welder and try to build this thing. And we do. And we did it at
Q in the Lou.
Q in the Lou, yeah. And, we do like the shawarma stuff, and we had who gave us that? I think it was Mark. It was Mark Lambert that gave us. He called it the redneck shawarma, and it was literally like a barrel.
Mark's awesome.
That he cut in half. Hey, it works, man. Yeah. No, so I really think live fire is cool, but I mean, you can go other places. Some people bury their meat in the ground and cook it with the coals and stuff like that, or wrap it in banana leaves and stuff like that. So it's really mind blowing to see how different it is depending on where you're at.
Well, absolutely. And I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and within these groups, I have what are called the meat elitist. These people who swear that there's only one right way to cook a steak. And I would say, there's many. Now, I think we can all agree there are definitely some wrong ways.
There's definitely wrong ways. That's for
ways
sure.
to mess it up. But when it comes to right ways, I mean, there's a number of different methods available.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that's okay. So you can go like all the grand champions that I know, they don't do everything all the same.
No.
They all do it different. They all do it their own way. And the way that they've come up with that is over trial and error and trying, different things. So one person says, hey, you want to cook a steak? Only use a cast iron. Somebody says, you want to cook a steak? Only use grill grates. You do it. Figure it out which one is your best way, because mocking, here's what I've learned. If I go and say, okay, I'm going to do everything, because I've taken all the classes. I've taken Mike Mills' class. I took Tuffy's class. If I go, okay, I'm going to do? I'm going to do everything exactly the same way that Mike Mills does it. I'm not going to beat Mike Mills. Right. So I have to do it my own way. Mm-hmm. That's his perfection of a way. But if I can watch how Tuffy does it and how Mo does it and how Mark Lambert does it and all these different people that win, and then I can, sit here and say, okay, I really like this aspect of it, but I don't like that part. And I really like this. That's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
And then found out my own way. So my way might be ass backwards from everybody else's, but it's what, works for me.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing there is your experience in front of the camera. And what you're talking about right there is the authenticity, right? That shines through, whether it's on camera or in your food, and that authenticity of bringing out what you like best is what's going to set you apart.
Well, and then the other thing too, like some people, I was really jealous of Leslie and like all these people have these incredible stories they grew up with a grandfather or a father or a great grandfather or grandmother even that has been passed on these recipes and cooking. I didn't have any of that. And actually, Mike didn't have any of that either. Both of our moms are terrible cooks. And that's kind of funny that we both, sorry, they're not going to see this. Like my mom uses her oven for storage. She's a vegetarian that doesn't cook. And his mom, I think his dad said she can burn water. So, that's kind of interesting that we both led into it. But yeah, we had to come up with all of our own. And
but now you're leaving a legacy for your kids.
Absolutely.
And that's probably the best part about it, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Some of our kids are more into it than others. But I love that, like if whatever kind of name we make for ourselves in the industry, if that's something that they go out and, do, that they have that as support and as like, something to kind of help,
Sure.
I love that part of it. Totally.
Well, you guys are definitely making a name for yourself. You've got an incredibly amazing following as well. I told every time I see Mike, I love him. I think he's one hell of a guy.
Everybody's so great too. Like all the people that comment, that follow it and stuff. Like that's just like huge. That's so great. You get a few every once in a while. Like
and you're gonna have that.
I mean,
it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think you guys are a great duo, and you guys are making some serious waves in our industry.
I make the grate and he makes the duo.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so what are some of the big things? We're gonna have to close out here soon, but what are some of the big things that we can look forward to from Chef Christina and Mike? And
Well, one, that's the same thing. I know there's so many other bigger problems in the world, but this pandemic, not a pandemic.
We could call it that too.
Pandemic has really put like a halt on a lot of things. So a lot of things are waiting to be rescheduled, but 2 different competition TV shows that will be coming up that I'm really, really looking forward to. So wish me luck on that. I was mentally, I had already won. Mm-hmm. Oh, so
it's
mad.
that mindset and preparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're already on the field. You've run all the
like
plays.
I already knew. Oh yeah, like okay, if I get this is what I'm going to do. If I get this is what I'm going to do. Just ready to go. But unfortunately, it has to hold off. But safety first, So some TV shows that I'm really excited, and one of them's a big deal.
Yeah.
So. I'm pretty excited about that. We have all of our festivals. We're kind of waiting. I'm doing World Foods this year. I'm competing in bacon and Firewoman. I did Firewoman last year. It's something where you have to be asked to compete in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. So not anybody compete. Do you ever do World Foods?
No.
Oh, it's incredible. I'm really hoping it doesn't get canceled. We've been doing it for like 5-6 years now. And the first couple years I cooked as Mike's sous chef in bacon. And then the last couple years I've cooked on my own. We do pretty well. I mean, 3rd, 5th, we got 1st place in the world in sandwich. And it's hard. You can't just decide to show up and do it. You have to win a competition like locally, or you can fly wherever. You have to win a qualifying competition in order to get in there. And there's a lot of people, and it's not cheap. So to do that well, get in top 10 is just a really big honor. But last year they had me do Firewoman. I took 2nd place. So I'm coming back for 1st place this year. But so hopefully that. And then this year is the first year I'm doing bacon by myself, because I love cooking in bacon category, but he didn't want to go against me. We wanted us to do 2 separate categories. And so I just said, you know what, screw that. I'm doing bacon this year, which is okay because he really wants to do burger. So yeah, that's coming up in soon, October.
You guys stay busy.
I know.
I can relate, but you guys stay busy.
We do.
Well, your passion for what you do shines through in everything you say. Want to wish you continued growth and success in your career. And can you tell everyone listening, how they can find you around the entire interwebs?
Yeah. So obviously you got to give a little plug there. So Ambassadors at Royal Oak, you can look them up on any social media or online. There's a bunch of my recipes up there, as well as Mike's. Green Mountain Grills, same thing. If you don't know Pellet Grills, you need to look into it. You can find it on any social media and on their website as well. And then I'm Chef Christina Fitzgerald on Instagram and Facebook, Christina Fitzgerald. And if TikTok doesn't go away, I'm thinking about doing a cooking thing on there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to put all that effort into it and then it's gone tomorrow. That would really piss me off. So thank you guys so much for having me, and good luck to you guys too. I'm really excited to see this and all the other awesome people that you've had on the show and the locations that you've been. I'm really looking forward to watching it.
Well, thank you. We're having a blast. Mike, anything else you want to say?
No, just appreciate your time. I know this was sort of short notice, and
it's awesome.
We couldn't get you over here the last time Mike was here, but
hear me.
we'd love to have you guys back. Both of you on at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we're always happy to come back.
So maybe when some time allows, whenever schedule's open, we can do that.
Yeah, or come down and film at one of the restaurants.
Yes, that's right.
We're going to get that on the calendar for September. We're launching the podcast and getting ready to do all that in the month of August. Maybe going to sneak in a small family vacation that my wife has been on me to.
Fun. Where are you guys going?
Hot Springs. So it was kind of end of the summer. We needed to get something done and no flying. So we can drive here from St. Louis to Hot Springs. I think it's about 5 or 6 hours. We're looking forward to it, and then launching the show. I just want to, again, thank you for your time and being here with us today. It was an honor and a pleasure. If you're listening to this in your vehicle right now, one of the biggest compliments you could pay to us is heading over to iTunes and leaving a review. Preferably a 5-star one. Also, you can find our show on YouTube, like and subscribe, so that way you can follow our adventures here and the amazing people we meet on the Meet America podcast, and follow us as we travel the country to introduce you to experts all across America. Thanks for tuning in, and follow us as we continue to meet America.
Subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel at redmeatlover.com. And learn more at meetamericapodcast.com.